Many of you do not recall the night of the pandas, and I can't say that I blame you, for the sights and sounds of that event were so horrific and terrifying that most human brains can only purge them from memory in order to save themselves from crippling trauma. Unfortunately, I was not so lucky. I remember all too clearly what transpired. I remember the flashes of black and white fur, and the glimmer of slashing claws, and the piles of bodies. Oh, how high they stacked those bodies. For the pandas could kill easily, but to devour each human took far longer. I remember the despair when the police and the military joined the side of the pandas and only hastened the genocide. The scariest part, however, was when dawn arrived and the sunlight caused the pandas to burst into fire and disintegrate both themselves and the pile of bodies, leaving us with one last haunting question. Were these pandas simply vampires, or were we dealing with something truly demonic? The first thing that alarmed me about President Dizzy Gillespie was how he immediately outlawed the making of jazz, which was a slap in the face to anyone who had ever voted for him, myself included. He stated that he was seeking to protect the country from those who would do harm to it. But really, it was obvious that he simply wanted all the jazz to himself. For that reason, I have started an underground movement that practices jazz in secret, and you are all welcome to come, provided that you will consent to a full-body naked cavity search for listening devices. It will be performed by my Uncle Eddie, and trust me, he'll make you feel very comfortable. Sweat, sweat, quiver, sweat, sweat, quiver, sweat, quiver, burn, sweat, burn, quiver, sweat, 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 quiver, sweat. I am not a burden, Mom. Quiver, sweat, sweat. I am not a burden, Mom. 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 And the moral of the story is never trust Satan, because he's evil.